Hey there, I'm Sean Kilroy and I help young people on the carnivore diet. So today's video is about this diet and height. So what a lot of people mistake is that diet and height are not as correlated as they actually are. And so what happens is people just all blame it on genetics when that's not actually just the case. Really, this is another promotion of this diet, because you're maximum health, you're getting all your nutrients, and you are going to be able to grow to your full potential if you're eating enough of this meat. So if we look at Asia, has probably had the most famines and lack of nutrients in their diet in history, and immigrants who come over, who are usually tiny people, will have kids in America or a Western country, and these kids grow to be like 6 feet easily. They tower over their parents. So it can't just be genetics, right? This example I have seen, countless times in my life, where unexplainably a kid is like 6'2" and his parents are tiny, and nobody else is that height. So what people mistake is that we're getting taller now, but before agriculture we used to be taller, and the average pre-agricultural man was about 5'9". And so after that we shrank to 5'5". So obviously we kept going and trying to reclaim that until today average height's like 5'8", 5'9" in America, where we were before. And that is just generalization of all of them. In hunter-gatherer societies, there's some people who are ranging from about 5'10" to 6'4", and anywhere in between, which is insane. There's no country, obviously there's more population, but there's no place on earth where the average height is that tall, right? And so that's the average. You think about it, you usually see a lot more people that are taller than that. And so the equivalent of what is tall to us would be giants to what we'd think. To them, it would just be tall. Other example is the Mongol Empire. Mongols, like 13,000 years ago or such, basically conquered all of Asia, Eurasia, and the steppe parts of the Middle East. Literally the biggest land empire on the planet. And so these people, if you look it up on Google, it says they're like, average height was like 5'7", but those are, probably the townspeople. The actual Mongol warriors were on average like 6'4", and all they ate was horse meat and horse blood. And so they were these giant people, and the average, so you'd have someone slightly taller and they would be like giants to us. And so this is why it's not just genetic. It really isn't super genetic. It's very, it's very variable, but I think more or less it's more nutrition than it is genetic, because we should all be able to get to a certain point where we can just get to that without, other people not being able to make it. And if you look at studies, it will show that usually the tallest kids in their grade eat the most protein, so probably the most animal products, right? So another thing that people have found is that the sibling's height is more correlated to the kid's height than the kid's height is to that father. So there's a closer correlation between those two, and why this is probably because of nutrition too. They're probably fed the same foods, whereas the father could be shorter or taller due to the certain foods that he might have been fed, right? So another thing is, along with this, the taller the father is, the less likelihood that the kid will actually be that tall. So that should say something to, basically it is harder to be taller if you are not eating nutritionally. So if a father's like 6'3" and the kid has stopped his growth and he's only like 6 foot, then obviously his diet probably played a hand. He could have gotten to that, but when you don't have those nutrients, you're not able to grow to that height. It doesn't matter your genetics. So another example is much easier for a kid to reach his father's height if his father is like 5'7" than it is if his father is like 6'4", because nutrition plays a big role in that. So that's why from this, the conclusion is that height is a measure of health in the population. right? So typically, who's eating more animal products, right? We look at country height averages, and we get the tallest is in the Netherlands. They eat the most dairy. They probably eat more meat than we do, and they're on average 6 feet, which is the tallest in the world. Close by are other European countries, right? Because they typically eat a lot of dairy and meat. Even like France, right, will eat tons of meat and tons of cheese. They're on the taller side, right? A lot of Europe's average is like 5'10", so it's a little bit taller. Some are 5'11", and this is, this cannot just be coincidence or chance, right? There were Gravettian hunters in Europe that were like on average 6'2", and that's what people are like, oh, that's why the Dutch are so tall. Well, it's also because what they're hunting is meat, right? They're eating just meat. This is not about like nutrition. This is not just about genetics. It's about nutrition, right? So other examples like the Maasai eat mostly meat, blood from animals, and milk, and they are a very tall tribe compared to the other African tribe. Forget the name. They on average are a lot shorter, and they eat plant diets. Native Americans, same thing. It is literally just them eating mostly meat, and they were the tallest population in the 1800s. Other case study, Australian Aboriginals, huge boned, huge head as well as Native Americans, very tall, ate like some people on different parts of Australia would only eat like fish. The Aborigines would only eat like meat, and when settlers came over, they couldn't believe that they were just eating meat. So that is why I think for teens and people who are still growing, right? So you could still be growing, like you could be like 20. There's still hope that, so if you see this video and you are still growing, you will grow more than you were going to if you didn't. Because if you start and you do this diet, you will be able to just max out your growth as much as possible, as long as you're eating enough meat with an nutritionally higher quality meat. And so that's why I encourage younger people to try this, because the more people that we can see, the more experience, higher growth, the more that this will become solidified as how to grow taller, right? The actual way. And because of that, if like someone is 13 watching this and you're about to hit your spurt, or you are in the middle of it and you start, you're probably going to excel way past everyone else. And if you're even younger, better, because you'll grow, and then when you hit puberty, you're already ahead of everyone else. And then you just skyrocket past them, and they won't be able to see you, right? And that's why I think this is so important, because, people want these things, but there's a reason why you might not have them. Like, if you're short, I have short parents. And, you're like, very short, you hit your growth spurt, and you're still short, right? What will you be eating in that growth spurt, right? It's more than just, it's my parents, right? Your mindset plays something into this as well. So if you are shorter and you're younger, there's still hope, right? But if you are taller, you can even excel even more, right? So this is what this video is made for, is to tell people that, this is how you're going to grow the most, is from this diet. And that's why I encourage all ages to do this diet, because you will grow the most and develop the most compared to any other diet. So thank you for watching. If you like the video, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.